Hello and welcome to one of our mashup shows where we bring in Jeff Chappy Chapman from Santa Anita and combine his first weekend previews with our own In the Money Players podcast. We're doing this show to talk all about the Santa Anita Derby mandatory pick six payout show. Make that the RUNHAPPY Santa Anita Derby mandatory pick six payout show. We're going to, of course, talk about that race as well. I'm your host, Peter Thomas Fornatal. Very happy to be back with you in the Brooklyn bunker. Once again, joined by Jeff Chapman, of course. Chappy, what's going on out there?
Not too much. It's a busy weekend. I was just down at Clocker's Corner a few minutes ago. It looked like back in the old days. It was full of people, full of jockeys, trainers, owners. We've got great weather. As Duke can attest to, it's been a tough month, but it's like Chamber of Commerce weather finally. So looking forward to a great weekend.
Yeah, not the best weather in Southern California the last few months. You guys have persevered and hopefully can get through this big weekend on a very high note. Our third guest on this show, one of the most popular we ever have on this network. He's a horse-playing legend, pro player, Duke Matties. Duke, what's up, buddy?
Pete, good to be here. As Chappy was saying, we've had an interesting winter here. The rain is finally, I think, gone, I'm hoping, because my house can't take it anymore with all the leaks in it. So, we need some sunshine.
There you go. Well, hopefully we'll get sunshine and plug leaks in houses and bankrolls as we attack this Santa Anita Derby day pick six. Let's start out by talking about the big one, which actually is not in the pick six sequence. It's the race before. It goes as race number 6. You know, obviously we're going to see some Kentucky Derby clues on the line in this one. Contention runs deep. A couple horses that I feel like with an explosive enough performance might even be able to challenge for favoritism on the Derby trail after what we saw from Forte last weekend. That remains to be seen, but it's certainly one storyline to pay attention to looking at this RUNHAPPY Santa Anita Derby. Duke, let's start with you and get your thoughts on this one. Is it, and we'll start with the more general question. Is this a race you project to be betting? And if so, who will you be taking a long look at?
Depend on how they play it. I'm interested in Skinner. I thought Skinner has really come to life in his last 2 races, and the trip he had last time I thought was not very good, and I think he could turn the tables on Practical Move. The horse that I don't know what to do with is National Treasure. I mean, it's the Baffert factor. He seemed to have ruined all of his contenders so far, so I'm not sure about this one, though. This one's lightly raced, and this one might be one of his better ones. So I like Skinner, but I'm worried about National Treasure.
7 and 6, 2 numbers. It'll be on my tickets as well. I'm buying the hype on National Treasure. This feels like a horse who we're going to see much better from. Not that he was bad in the sham, but it was less than I think what a lot of us were expecting. But for a lot of reasons, including the recent work tab and the added distance and the regard in which he's always been held, he's the way that I'm landing in this spot. Chappy, how about you? Who are your top numbers when it comes to this year's RUNHAPPY Santa Anita Derby?
I'm all over National Treasure. Just kind of both of what you guys just said. I always go back to the XBTV works if I can see something. And the March 26 work was actually with Reincarnate, and he handled Reincarnate rather easily. So I think National Treasure is doing very well. And the horse I'm kind of against is Go Rocket Ride. He did battle back very well in that last race. If you watch his last work, I don't know if Duke has or not on April 2nd, he still seems very green. He was throwing his head all around, wasn't relaxing. Talent is abundant, I think, but I think there's a lot still here to learn. So I'm kind of going against it. I think Go Rocket Ride's going to get a lot of play in this spot, Duke.
Yeah, I hope he does, because I agree with everything you said. He was he in the workout, his head was definitely not into it. You know what I mean? He's just something was up there, and I don't think he improved off his first race. So I kind of thought he just stayed the same. So I'm kind of like against him too. like I said, National Treasure is the horse that is to beat if he goes back to what you think he can do. And I think Skinner's the improving horse. So that's where I landed on those two.
Let's move on to this pick 6, which kicks off in race number 7. We've got the mandatory payout happening. We kick things off with the Echo Eddie Stakes. We're going 6.5 on the dirt in this spot. Chappy, we're going to throw it to you to get things kicked off. How do you want to light this mandatory pick 6 candle?
Well, obviously, Kangaroo Court is the horse to beat. I think it's very interesting that Kangaroo Court is drawn inside of Bus Buzz this time. I can see them both going, so it might set up for a horse maybe like, I don't know what to do with a horse like Clouseau on the outside. Finally gets an outside draw. Those last 2 wins, was it because of the dirt? Was it because of Lasix? And now that horse is off Lasix. An interesting horse to, I did a show last night with Matt Dinnerman, and he provided some info on the 4 Clovis Connection. He said this horse is very talented, and he has a clocker up north that said that last work was one of the last couple works in the last 2-3 years that he said that was an absolute wow work from Clovis Connection. So, and I think this horse can sit off the speed. So I'm giving a big look to Clovis Connection as well. Like I said, Kangaroo Court, most talented. I'm interested to see what he does from that post 2 position.
2, 7, and 4. Or did you end up leading against Clouseau in the end, Chappy?
I'm gonna include Clouseau. I think it sets up for Clouseau. I think Ian Kruljack obviously is having a tremendous meet. I like the outside draw, and he's 2 for 2 at Santa Anita. So I'm including Clouseau as well.
Duke, let's start with that Clovis Connection, the 4. Chappy mentioned Matt Dinnerman, who's the analyst, of course, and race caller up there at Golden Gate, having the positive notes on this one's last work. Just generally speaking, how do you evaluate a horse like Clovis Connection starting on dirt for the first time when all the form is on synthetic?
Yeah, it's a tough one. He does have a full sibling named Super Bill, who was 1 for 1 on the dirt that won at Pleasanton by open lengths. So, I mean, the dirt might not be a problem for him. So, I mean, that being said, he's probably the unknown horse that, can possibly beat Kangaroo Court. But I mean, I don't believe Kangaroo Court will get beat in this spot based off his last race. His last race was super impressive coming back off the layoff. And I just think he might be just too good for these.
Potentially singling there, Duke, in race 7?
Yeah, I think I'll have probably 90% of my tickets with Kangaroo Court, and then I'll maybe throw in, like I think we talked about this last time. I'll probably throw in, a very minor ticket and use Clovis Connection and maybe Left Hand Man. Those are probably the 2 that I would back up with.
Gotcha. So almost like and I'm going to say they're like C-level uses. You certainly don't want to have them equally, but if you can get some coverage with the 4 and 5, mainly pressing the 2, that'll be the approach as we kick off this pick 6. When we pivot to Santa Anita's 8th race, which we are on the turf, first level allowance, going 1 mile and an 1/8. Duke, we'll keep it with you.
This is a good turf race, 9 furlongs. Pretty competitive field. I like 3 horses here I'm interested in, and I think my top choice is the 6, 7 Wonders. I'm surprised. The only thing I'm surprised about this horse is Dettori jumps to the Reckless Spirit. I'm not sure if he wanted the D'Amato barn, or I know because he's been riding for Yurton and he's been winning for Yurton the last week or so. I think he won 2 races for him, and I like the way he raced going 1.25 miles last time. He actually got used early in the race to clear and held on well for a good second. So I think he is definitely at 6-1, a definite horse to beat in there. The other 2 that I'm definitely going to use are Coalinga Road and General Mathis. General Mathis has really gotten sharp this year coming off the layoff. He's got 2 wins in his last race. He got in trouble in that 1.25 mile race, and I think he's a definite use. So I'm not on favorites here, which is interesting. I'm on 6, 8, 10, but mainly 6, then 10, then 8.
6, 10, 8. Chappy, how about you? Who will you be using in race number 8?
So it's fairly similar to Duke, a little bit different order. My top pick is the 8 Coalinga Road. I think this horse runs well on turf, better on turf, obviously, than dirt. I think it should set up well for Coalinga Road. My second choice actually is Silver Surfer. Obviously needed that race last time out for D'Amato, coming off about a 1.5 year layoff. Showed some speed earlier in the career, ran second and third twice to McKinnon when McKinnon was really good. I think this horse should sit a good trip, probably just off the pace. Then the other 2 horses I like are General Mathis and 7 Wonder. 7 Wonder surprised me going to the lead last time, Duke. I was talking about this before. It really surprises me. I didn't realize how aggressive Frankie Dettori can be.
Yeah.
He really takes it to him out here. I think he's won about half of his starts down the hill. This race isn't down the hill, but a lot of the times he's been on a horse that looks like a closer, and he's very aggressive rider, which really took me by surprise.
Is he aggressive, or are the rest of the guys not aggressive?
Yeah.
A little bit of both. I mean, he's known. I would say also his experience early in his career. Remember when he was here, Duke, back in the day and what the colony was like. I think that's how he learned to ride Santa Anita. So there's a little bit of maybe an unfrozen caveman vibe with him, riding the way they did back then.
He can put horses in the race and then keep them going. He's got the old school Lafitte Pincaille Cordero style. He can keep horses going, where I think these guys nowadays, all they can do is just rate.
There's a lot of grabbing, and there's politics and reasons that goes on. And that's the other thing is Dettori isn't really beholden to any of those politics.
No.
I mean, supposedly this is it. We'll see. Hoping we get an encore, but I mean, that does change. It does change your approach in a day and age where there's so much money to be made for jockeys, and not wanting to make enemies. And there's knock-on effects of that, and some of it is being a little less aggressive. Certainly not a problem that Dettori has. So, Chappy, I've got you 8, 3, 10, and 6 in race 8. Does that sound about right?
Yes, correct.
All right, good stuff. Let's
go. And Pete, just that Yurton barn has come to life over the last couple weeks, and I just think that horse is a really good play in there. Like Chappy said, he doesn't need the lead either. This horse doesn't have to go the lead at all.
Versatility, yeah. A good shout on the 6 for Duke in race number 8 for sure, backing up with 10 and 8. Let's talk race 9. We've got a starter allowance going 6.5 on the dirt, field of 9. Doesn't appear to be a ton of pace signed on. Chappy, who are you with in here?
Well, I don't love this race. I'll tell you that much. I've kind of landed on 3 horses. One of you mentioned is probably the pace play would be the 4 Teton Valley. Last time out, this horse obviously needed the race coming off of a long layoff. Maldonado sent he was running a quarter horse race at Los Al. And I think going turf to dirt here, this horse should have the lead. He loves Santa Anita's at the board every time. If you go back to those races, it was quite a while back. He ran against some good horses, Principe Carlo, Essential Wager, American Theorem. This horse is right there against some talented horses. Another horse somebody uses the 7 Lovesick Blues. This horse ran second last time to that Lamplighter Jack, who was given out to about everybody on the track and just annihilated him for a Baraccio. Now, going back to the dirt's going to do this horse some good. If you go way back to the race in October, ran a good 4th to Straight No Chaser, who absolutely demolished horses at Oaklawn this past weekend. And then my third choice is going to be the outside Clem Levine. This horse has ran against better lately, and this barn has been on fire. You kind of avoid that trainer at your own peril. He's been running off the screen half the time. So I'm looking at 7, 4, 9. I'm not in love with anything here.
Any reference to an old Brooklyn Dodger puts you near and dear to my heart in the bunker here. So yeah, we'll go with Clem Levine gets the hunch play as well. 4, 7, and 9 there for Chappy in race number 9. Duke, who's it going to be?
This is a kind of race where I would tell the viewers, I think there's only 4 horses that can win it. So this is a kind of race I'm not going to stick my neck out for any of them, but I'm going to use 3, 4, 7, 9. I'm going to add the 3 to Chappy's 4, 7, 9. I think Manitouish got caught just a little bit too much rating last time when Joe Don Looney got loose on him. And I think he ran a good second that day, so I can't leave him out. Chappy mentioned Teton Valley. If he goes back to any of those races in 2021, he will win this race, but that's a big if. Lovesick Blues, I like the angles on that. Chappy was talking about him. The only thing about Lovesick Blues is he's a big closer, so he may not get there, but I definitely think you have to use him. And Clem Labine back on Lasix. Last time off Lasix ran a dull sixth, and I think back on Lasix he might come back to his good numbers. And Barocchio is, like Chappy said, is just he's just doing really well. I'm not sure where he came from, but he's a tremendous trainer.
In terms of approach here, is it sort of like no top pick, use those 4 equally, try to lock up the race, or would you grade them a little bit, the 3, 4, 7, and 9?
Yeah, I wasn't going to grade him. If I had to lean on one, I would lean on Clem Labine.
Okay. We'll throw that one. I'll put there as the technical top pick. And is that an important concept? It's something we've talked about before, the idea of trying to lock up a race. Is that something you feel like only comes into play when you're talking about a couple of runners, or can you design a bet where you're looking to lock up a race with as many as 4 contenders?
I think in a pick 6 scenario, it's not bad. I'm leaving out horses like Joe Don Looney, who's 4-1, and Next Revolt, who's 5-1. So it's not like I'm, it's not like I'm just taking chalk either.
Right.
I think it's just if you can get past the race with 3 or 4, I think it's a good way to go.
Yeah. We've got more stakes action in race number 10, the Monrovia. We're going down the hill, 6.5 for these fillies and mares, 4-year-olds and up. Duke, we've got a field of 11. Who's your idea of the winner?
This is a tough race. I think this race and the last race are going to be the keys to this pick 6. This race has a lot of sneaky horses that have chances that I can't really throw out. I mean, there's not a lot of throwouts in this race. I'm going to use a bunch here. They'll probably be in waves, like you said, A's, B's, and C's. But Amy C is definitely going to be on one of those, the top of one of those lists. Just for, the D'Amato barn got 2 wins on the downhill. I mean, you can't leave him out.
Yep.
Tom's Beauty is a horse that I think is rapidly improving and won down the hill last time in a race where a couple of horses have come back to win already. 12-1, it would be crazy, I think, on that horse, but you might get it in this field. Awake at Midnight is a really interesting horse, the number 2. His turf race, or her turf race, wasn't bad. It was like a second race of her life, ran second in Jimmy Durante, I believe, at Del Mar, and really has run 2 really good races going 7 furlongs this year, and then stretched out to 2 turns and threw in a clunker. So I think the cutback with Awake at Midnight, return to grass, I think 15-1 is another crazy price. So those are the 3 I'm looking at, but I might have a lot more when it comes to my tickets in the pick 6. But they'll be, like I said, they'll be in waves of some on top and some below.
Will you get to use all of them, or you think you'll have some eliminations?
I want to have it all in this race somewhere, but that means I gotta scale down some of the other legs. So, but on the main ticket, there'll be 2, 4, and 8, and 8 will be probably the main one.
Gotcha. And yes, it was the Durante, that big run, beaten Justin Nose, and that's a very interesting angle, getting back on turf for Awake at Midnight there. Chappy, how about you? Any more? Not that Duke doesn't have clarity in the race, but he has an approach that's going to be casting a wide net. Will that be similar to what you're doing, or are you going to look to get narrow here?
Well, normally I'll do 2 tickets, and I'll probably single in one ticket and use the all button in the other, believe it or not. So my single in a race that most people would spread would be Amy C. 3 for 3 down the hill. And I went back and watched those replays, and she just fits the hill to a T and explodes late. And she might be the new queen of the hill. I love the post. I love everything about Amy C in the spot. So if she doesn't win, then we can go anywhere. I might make some cases for some horses, like Duke said, Awake at Midnight, even Elm Drive on the rail. And I can't stand horses on the rail that have been on the turf. I just love that last workout. and it is for D'Amato. The one horse I think is super interesting that Duke hasn't mentioned is Canoodling. I think Canoodling got really good for Pipey, and I think the way that horse showed speed routing should, you never know, but should love this downhill turf course. So my top pick is clearly Amy C. My second pick would actually be Canoodling, and then I'm 2, and then I could make a case for every horse in the race.
Gotcha. Do you want me to name check the one Elm Drive as one that you'll definitely be having on some tickets here?
Yeah.
Okay, great. No, it's an interesting contest for sure. All right, I have a general question about the Santa Anita Oaks first, and I'm going to commit a host fail by asking a question I don't know the answer to and didn't prep either of the guests for. But the question, and Chappy, I think you might know the answer to this, with Fiza, who's going to go here, a solid favorite. Do we know why she wasn't transferred to a trainer where she could get points to compete in the Oaks? Because by my understanding, she's not going to necessarily be able to get, she won't be able to get into the Oaks running in the Baffert name here. And on her form, you would have thought she would have been an interesting horse in this slow division. So I was just curious if we had any story about, I just assumed maybe she was hurt and that's why they didn't bother or whatever. But so her presence here surprised me a little bit. Did you know any of the backstory?
I have no idea, Duke.
Nah, I got nothing on that one.
It's weird though, right?
It is a interesting point.
Yeah, it just made me wonder. Well, then we'll go to the next logical question, and Chappy will still start with you. Are you with Fiza or against her in here?
Well, of course I'm against her, and she'll probably win by 3. All she does is win races, and she's not flashy, but she just gets the job done. So I could never make it that simple. I'm actually spreading in here. I'm making a case for, I'm going 5 deep, believe it or not. Fiza, I'm going to use Fiza, and you have to, right? The horses that are interesting on upside would be clearly Unhinged. Michael McCarthy doesn't win first time out too often. Michael McCarthy is pretty conservative. He goes straight into a grade 2. This horse showed speed, but it broke from the rail. So had to show speed first time out. Was very impressive. I thought Window Shopping, what did it beat? So what? I just like the way the horse ran. I like the way the horse worked. I like that it won going a mile. Believe it or not, Duke's going to laugh at me probably here. Vengaza in the 2-horse race beat absolutely nothing. But if you go back and watch the works, now, I know that Royal Ship is, kind of an aging horse. On March 27th, Vengaza easily outworked Royal Ship. I think the horse has a ton of talent. It's going to be a huge number. And then Tell Me No Lies on the outside maybe needed that race and I think can turn the tables on Fiza. So I'm going to go five deep. That means Fiza's going to win by 2 at 6-5, and I'll be idiot once again.
It's a weird division, and this race shows it. Chappy landing 3-6. I'm going to write it down as 3-6-1-8 on the top line with Fiza as your B, your sort of defensive use if you're right everywhere else. Duke, what do you think about this? What do you think about this division? What do you think about this specific race, the Santa Anita Oaks?
I don't know. I mean, this race, I hate to take the 3 most logical horses and just move on, because that's what it looks like to me. It looks like clearly Unhinged, Fiza, and then Tell Me No Lies. I can't go with Venganza, even though that workout was good. But I mean, winning a 2-horse race, I just not for me. But especially stretching out, going 6 furlongs to 8.5 furlongs, I say no.
Not easy.
Window Shopping's a little more interesting because I had a huge trip on Window Shopping in her first start, and then just demolished a field like it was never ridden last time. At least she's gone the mile, right? So I think that would be my other one. But I really don't have a strong opinion. I'm kind of married to And Tell Me No Lies, because the trip in the Breeders' Cup I thought was bad. And she came back and did almost nothing wrong. She ran a pretty good second coming back, so she should improve. So I think I'm 8 on top with 5 and then 3-6.
8 and 5 is A's, and the 3 and the 6 to back up for Duke in this. And your thoughts on this division in general? I mean, that Oaklawn race, the fantasy, looked like the first one that was anything resembling fast. I'm just wondering if that's going to be the key form line for the Oaks, or if some of these horses could step up, or if you have your eye anywhere else. The term Nick Tamaro used that we've been joking about is that the 3-year-old fillies seem to have a case of the slows.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing out there that I think that Kentucky Oaks is going to be an interesting race, because there's nothing that's shown up that's a killer out there. So, I mean, that race might be more interesting than the Derby.
Sometimes they're more interesting to handicap, and I find I can make cogent cases for big long shots a lot more often when no horse has run the expected speed figure par. That's exactly the situation it's looking like in this year's Kentucky Oaks.
Certainly does.
It's hard to know. Do you still go for the fastest? And I think that's going to point you to those Oaklawn horses, or do you start to get creative? We'll have a chance to do a lot of deconstruction on that front over the next several weeks. You can find all manner of programming on inthemoneypodcast.com. And I'll mention this one quick house plug as well on here. We're in that period of time where if you sign up for our In the Money Plus subscription service, Substack situation, you'll get all our extra Keeneland coverage and our Derby coverage for just the price of 1 month. inthemoneypodcast.com/plus to check that out. But we have another race to talk about right here and now. It's our nightcap. You guys were virtually arm wrestling about who. Neither one of you wanted to go at first in this one, so I'll flip a coin. We'll keep that drama going. But we've got this very open-looking 3-year-old filly, 3-year-old and up filly allowance race going a mile on the turf, an oversubscribed field of 13. Duke, we're going to go back to you with the key question when it comes to this Run Happy Santa Anita mandatory pick 6. How are we going to get paid?
Well, this race, as Chappy and I were talking a little bit before we got on, is just super difficult. I mean, you just don't know where to lean, and the problem with me is I'm leaning on outside posts, which I don't like going a mile on the turf. So this could get ugly, if I get hung out in the first turn with both of my horses. But I like the 11 and the 12. The 11, Ancient Peace, has a 2-year-old figure that's just as good as any of these horses that are 3 and 4 now. So if she improves, I think she's definitely the horse to beat. Gets Pratt. Switching from Grand Motion to Sadler, I don't know much about that. I haven't really watched her workouts, but I don't think that really matters. But I just think, just on a talent level, if she can run that high of a figure as a 2-year-old, I think she's got to be used here as a 3-year-old in this spot. And then Chloe's Crown, the 12, I thought comes out of a very good race for Mike McCarthy, going a mile and an eighth, cutting back to a mile. The 12 post is tricky, but if Kimura can get this horse somehow over into like a 3-path, before the first turn, I think it's those two. My third choice would be Scarabea, just because she has stakes races that she's run okay in, and maybe back on Lasix may help her. She may just be good enough. A mile worries me a little too short, but I like 11 and 12 the best.
All right, 3 numbers to play around with in there. Chappy will bring you in for yours in a second. Also, just want to let folks know, watching on YouTube, we're going to do a little giveaway. If anybody can give us the cold pick 3 of the 3-year-old prep races this weekend, just runner, 1 shot per person. Well, we're going to be doing a little bit of a giveaway, perhaps a t-shirt, a JK shirt, a book, whatever you want. We'll figure it out for whomever can hit that pick 3. Put that down in the YouTube comments. And if you're listening to the audio of the show, you got to go over to the YouTube channel In the Money Media to put those suckers in there. Chappy, let's go to you for your thoughts on how we're going to close out this Santa Anita mandatory pick 6.
Well, like Duke and I said, this is a tough race. I'm gonna try to use as many as I can. My top 3 in order. I'm gonna go with the Calbred Shocking Gray on top, the 10. This horse seems to be rapidly improving. 2 back, had all kinds of trouble and got out late and won very easily. Last time out, came back and won both times since Hernandez has taken over. Mullins has been on fire. I think this horse is getting better at the right time. My second pick is Scarabia from the same things Duke said. You're just facing much better. And, if you can run close to Neige Blanche, Duvet Day, and going to Vegas, you're going to probably annihilate this field if this horse is anywhere near back to the form of last year. And then my third choice is Ancient Peace. I agree with Duke. I think the talent is there. I watched one of the works. I want Duke to go back and look at it. The March 20th work is on XBTV. Very fast, very talented. Another one of those that kind of reminded me when we were talking to Go Rocket Ride, turning the head a lot. That was a little odd that I was going to make that horse my top pick until I looked at that. I don't know why, it just concerned me a tad, but I think all the talent in the world there. So I'm kind of outside posts as well, 10, 8, 11 in the finale.
All right, we're gonna need our outside posts to do well. Post 1 through 7, we take a goose egg here in the last leg. So hopefully we can get one of those aforementioned runners in. Guys, always a pleasure chatting with you. Some great info for me, some great info for the viewers. Chappy, in terms of the Santa Anita Saturday card, anything else we need to let people know about? I mean, obviously, we've got the coast-to-coast bet happening. We've got another show on the podcast side with that. I know you got the beer festival happening out there. It pains me to miss that. I couldn't make the magic happen to get out there to Santa Anita this weekend. So I'll have my own beer festival right here in the Brooklyn Bunker, but it won't be as good as that. Any other things you guys are looking to push besides this mandatory payout pick 6 on the coast to coast?
No, I think, like you said, with the weather being so nice, the crowd should be terrific. 12 races. We've got the Chandelier Room party. We're going to do another after party. Many of the jockeys came up the last time and hobnobbed. We had Pratt up there, and DeTore came up, Mike Smith. And that party should go till about 8 o'clock. After the race is over, that's actually open to the public to come on in, and there's some live music. So just looking forward to a terrific day, a big crowd, and hope everybody can come out. Duke, I hope I get to see you out here tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm debating. I'm still on the fence. It's going to be a last-minute decision, so just depends how busy I get and if I can sneak out of here early enough. What time is post time?
Noon. First time
Noon.
post. Yep.
Yeah, so I got to be out of here by 10, which could be rough.
Make it happen.
Make it happen. I don't know. Well, I'll let you know, Chappy. It's going to be
okay. I got a spot for you if you need it.
If I were going to be there, I would give you the real hard sell. But there also is the $1,500 Santa Anita Derby Challenge happening. You can play on Express Bet or live from Santa Anita. To get more information about that, santaanita.com/contest. And for ticket packages, etc., just go to santaanita.com. There's still room, and that sounds like an amazing day. It pains me that I won't be able to be out there just because of my own travel plans, etc., and with everything else going on, Keeneland next week, etc., etc. It's been too long since I've been to the Great Race Place, and I need to get back there. I gotta update my merch. This shirt's like 5 years old. What's going on? Chappy, you must know somebody. Guys,
I'll send you one, Pete.
I really appreciate you joining today. Thanks, of course, to all the viewers and listeners. It's been a pleasure doing these shows with you, Chappy. Hopefully we can get more fun stuff coming up soon. For Duke Matties, for Jeff Chapman, for our friends at In the Money Media and Santa Anita, I'm Peter Thomas Fornatal. May you win all your photos.